So we're just here starting off where yesterday stopped. Debuff builds. Debuff builds are typically only used in champions meeting settings. For normal Team Trials PvP, they aren't desirable. They give up on winning to help your other Umas win. That's not very sportsmanlike, is it? These builds don't need any other stat other than wit and enough power to stay in the race. Speed, stamina, and guts don't matter, so you want enough of them to win the training. To have the most turns to get hints and maximum skill points. He is also useful as her dates give a ton of skill points for days when you have no rainbows, especially since winning G1s is hard. There are two types of debuffers: speed debuffers, which slow down the enemies, and stamina debuffers, which try to completely kill the enemies. I mean, the thing in the Eye of Stamina is considered to be a health, and, stamina has a heart icon, so you're technically killing the horses. Speed debuffs always work, while stamina debuffs are stronger when they do work. Speed debuffs are generally the same strength as the negative speed skill, while stamina debuffs can completely ruin the Uma. Aw man, the horse. Both kinds of debuffers can get the whites for both strategies. For speed debuffs, the whites are called hesitant. For stamina, they are called flustered and subdued. To find which card gives these, you can check Game Torah and search for these turns. And then click the More. The notable card is Bully Rudolph, who gives all 4 subdued skills from hints. When trading, you mostly click any hint that can give a debuff. If it gives a different skill, buy it to take it out of the pool. The best speed debuffers tend to be as end closers, as they get Petrifying Gaze. There are two notable distance-specific speed debuffs: Dominator for medium and Keen Eye for mild once buffed. The best Umas in this role have either Petrifying Gaze or Dominator. So Umas like Sweep Tosho, Grass Wonder, Nice Nature, Cheerleader version, and Taboli Rudolph, and so on. The best stamina debuffers tend to be late surgers, as they get All-Seeing Eyes. There are also two notable distance-specific stamina debuffs: Mystifying Murmur for medium and Stamina Siphon for long. Mystifying Murmur is the strongest, so Umas like Nice Nature and Mayano Bride are great for this role. Debuffers will almost always want to inherit summer gold ships, unique 564. Once she releases, the unique activates a random gold skill. Your debuffer should avoid buying any gold skills other than debuffs. This unique can let you use more debuffs. For example, Grass Wonder is medium distance, can borrow Gold City Speed to get Keen Eye, get the speed debuff in the later update. Also, yeah, it's a ton of foresight. It's a ton of foresight for. Wait, they all use eye and gaze instead of sight. I was about to make a pun there. Was the eye thing, and whatever. Then use 564 to trigger it. Even if all your golds can activate on the track, you still want 564, as it can trigger debuffs that fail the wit check, increase your consistency. The other debuff skills, such as Trick or Frenzied, aren't as impactful, and you don't have to worry about getting them. Frenzied extends the rushed debuff and actually makes your opponent stronger if they survive, as Rushed increases speed. Oh, that's interesting. Another style in enclosed or heavy metas can be to purposefully lower your power to below 100. This makes it so enclosers can trigger the Sleeping Lion recovery. You can also just pick a Uma who has bad aptitudes for the track, like Aurora. What about Guts cards? Don't use those unless it's 3 Guts, 3 Wit and Meme build to try to get a high grade for the achievement. Guts doesn't scale into high numbers, so your Uma will be weaker than their grade implies, and you'll end up fighting stronger PvP opponents that have actual stats and lose a lot. In later scenarios, Guts cards can be used and sometimes are the best choice, but in URA it's not a good idea. One exception is Innistrujin, who gives a golden recovery skill that's exclusive to front runners. Also, the free Hara card is pretty generally good. You can just throw her in to be able to replace a weak card and not click Guts. She's basically a friend card that will be meta in Scenario 3. Man, that's a long time, isn't it? What about Wit cards? Wit cards are very useful at the higher end of the game. When you're starting out, you can't afford to use them. Once you have good max limit break cards such as Citizen Black, it's always Citizen Black, and turrets that are giving you plus 63 power or stamina, you can start phasing out your power cards in favor of wit cards, especially in team trials, where your scoring is based on how frequently you can activate your skills. So sometimes continuing to use power cards and inheriting wit instead is also good and viable. What about friend cards? Friend cards are often short-lived but very powerful in their respective scenarios. However, you need a strong deck to support them, as they give little stats on their own. AoE can be used when making parents, as she gives a lot of skill points to buy more skills for more white sparks. Tazuna is strong for a concentration skill, which can be used by any Uma in team trials for easy points. Once your cards are at max limit break, try to slip in a friend card and see how it goes. In the next scenario, Aoharu, there will be a friend card called Rico that is extremely strong in Aoharu. You will even use her rare version if your builds if you don't have her SSR. She's probably the longest lived friend card, remaining useful in scenarios 3 for longer distances, and technically usable in 4 scenario, but falls off in favor of Light Hello, who then falls off and is replaced by the goddesses, and so on. Consistency versus perfection. A build like 5 speed, 1 power is very consistent. You'll be able to get 1,200 speed, 800 power more often than not. Umas like this are pretty good if you want truly great Umas, such as 1,200 speed and 1,200 power. You'll have to get lucky and take riskier builds, like 4 speed, 2 power, or sometimes even builds like 3 speed, 2 power, 1 stamina, or 2 speed, 2 power, 2 stamina. The less focused the builds, the less consistent. Builds like these maximum demand max limit breaks, or at least close to it. These are more difficult. You'll have a lot of runs where you don't get enough rainbows. You'll have to go through tons of training runs. For example, look at the player PXY who wanted an amazing Bourbon. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's not even the limit. I'm pretty sure you probably can scroll down for more. We can see at least 30 Bourbons in that screenshot alone. True. There are certainly countless others down below. True. So when making Uma, decide if you want to invest a lot of time for a great Uma, or just get a good Uma in a few runs, knowing where your goal is, and just choose cards based on that. To be honest, this is quite interesting. Try to get the perfect. Trying to get a perfect run and deciding to take risks with the gambling and the random chances. But, the whole point is that run there quite long term, so you probably also need a ton of time for that. Anyways, back to this. This idea applies to events in Game 2. If you have the choice between 10 energy or 30 energy and maybe a sickness, then for consistency, you choose the former. But when going for the best, you want to take the 30 and hope it doesn't debuff you. Real gamblers always win. Basic training strategy. You gain bond, plus 7 for training together, plus 5 bond for getting a hint, and plus 2 was charming. And then after that you get rainbows at 80 total bond. When the bar is orange, rainbows can appear, give you more stats. Bond your support cards as soon as possible. In the early phases of training, most people can focus on raising the bond of their supports. These can be seen in the top right when you select the training. Once every card is bonded, you wait for rainbows and train wit, or do race it if there is no rainbow, leading to this flowchart. Do you have a chance to fail training that is, in your opinion, unacceptably high for the stats you gain from training? Oh, real gamblers always win, but still, if yes, then rest, since you think it's unacceptable, obviously. If no, are all your supports at orange bond? If no, then do the training with the most non-orange bonded supports. If yes, then is there a rainbow? If yes, then do the best rainbow. If no, then train it into or do an optional race. As you get more experience, you'll learn what risks you're willing to take, when to do rainbows instead of bondies, when to raise mood, and so on. Recorded example, A rank runs with bad cards. Each of these runs uses the weakest cards I own and manages to reach A rank while being PvP viable, more or less following the above flowchart. There's one for each distance, each using a different build. If you're struggling to make A ranks, then watching them might help. I recommend you do 2 times playback speed. Oh, it's a YouTube thing, nice. Many of them take Iron Will just because there aren't any good skills to buy with these cards. With better cards, aka almost any other cards, you'll have more wiggle room to do races or trade secondary stats, as well as being able to buy better skills. With Sprint Distance, King Halo, 4 speed, 2 power. King Halo is considered the hardest sprint Uma to raise. Borrowing a 9-star stamina Uma from a friend gives her enough stamina for PvP sprint, as well as to survive the early longer races. 500 stamina, huh? Mao Daiwa Scarlet, 5 speed, 1 power. The inheritance goes entirely to stamina for this Daiwa. Her bonuses are 10% speed, 20% guts. 20% guts is a bad bonus. This build would work better on any other Mao Uma. Medium distance, winning ticket, 5 speed, 1 stamina. This run was quite lucky in terms of events, but unlucky in terms of rainbows. Inheritance is the same as the Daiwa. On stamina, Super Creek is typically required for medium. Borrow her if you don't own her. Long distance, Matekana Fuku Hitaru, it's whatever. 2 speed, 4 stamina. The guy had a 20% stamina bonus, so a 4 stamina build takes advantage of that, inheriting a lot of speed without using Kitasun. The power is quite low, which is why I purchased good condition green early on. For the plus 40 power. Unfortunately, I can't unlevel my McQueen SSR, but it only takes 10 days with a good circle to get to the break anyways. Oh, the circle? Huh. At time of writing this, Legend race versus McQueen is going on. A 3,200 meter race. This guy is able to take first place in it. Oh, events. So, yeah, what even are Legend races? I'm pretty sure they talked about it like it's an event or something. Other recorded runs, A plus Mao Guri Cap plus 3 max limit break SSRs, 4 speed, 2 power. Once you get max limit break SR cards, making an A plus Uma becomes pretty easy. This run took me 2 tries. The first attempt, she got sick, didn't cure it, was 2 hospital visits, and lost 5 mood in the meantime, so I quit it at the start of the second year. This run was better, so I did forget to do a Tatsuki show. Skill points help a lot with rank. 3-star blue factor farm, Temkatio, 4 speed, 1 gut, 1 wit. In order for Uma to receive a 3-star blue spark, she must have 600 or more in that stat. This build aims for exactly that, getting 600 in every stat. Other things to look out for in legacy farms are races that the parents also did to improve affinity. I did a poor job of this, only doing 16 races. You should also try to get skills that you want white factors for. I was unlucky with this and only received medium straightaways. While looking for medium corners, late surger corners, and late surger straightaways. So uniques are also all aimed for late surgers. With Tio, Rudolph, and Agree having strong uniques for late surgers to inherit. Something to know is that when the stat reaches 1,100, the chance of it getting a 3-star blue factor doubles. You could rate speed more for that, but I did want speed blue anyways. Advanced Training Strategy, URA. Bonding. The first phase of training is getting your supports to orange bond so you can get rainbows. Picking the one with most supports on it is a fine start, but there's a lot more optimization you can do. When you do a training 4 times, it levels up, increasing the stats it gives for the rest of the run. Because of this, you should prioritize the trainings that you want to focus on. For example, if you're doing a speed/power build, you can choose speed/power training while bonding, even if it's slightly worse in terms of bond. Wit training is also very useful as it doesn't cost any energy. All other things become equals. You should probably pick. All other things being equal, you should probably pick the wit training. Guts training costs the most energy and is the least desirable stats, so it should be avoided unless it's very good. Hints also influence things. Each hint gives +5 bond, so having a hint on trading is almost as good as having an extra support there. You should also consider the level of bond for each card if you want to get everyone to orange, except one who is at 1 bar. It's going to be annoying to raise that one to orange. Mood. Mood is important to keep high, as every increase results in around 1.16 multiplier to your stats gained, depending on your support cards. However, you can also lose a day of training by going out on a day to raise it, so it's sometimes hard to judge when to raise it. If we consider the multiplier to be 1.16, then we can roughly say that if we raise mood and then have 6 turns of good training, it's worth giving up a turn, considering rests and races. That's more like 8 to 10 turns, though if there was nothing better to do on the turn anyways, might as well. Dates can sometimes raise your mood by 2 steps. If you're in a neutral mood, it's even more worth it. And there's a potential energy game / crate game to consider. There's also a few stat mood ups during training. Classic year, late March, the New Year's raffle in senior year, late January, and fan meeting in senior year, early April, and some specific ones, such as senior year, late April for a recap. If you're close to these dates, you can use them to raise your mood and not worry about it. The rest during the summer also raises mood. Other things to consider are how many mood events you have left from your support cards. Kinesun's first 2 events raise moods, for example. So if you haven't seen those, you might avoid dating in hopes it shows up. Doing an optional race can also raise mood sometimes, and if you're racing, you also don't need to raise mood. For example, if you're doing the Fall Triple Crown, which is late October, late November, and late December, that's 3 turns in a 6-turn stretch where you won't be training. You can put off dating and hope you get a mood up from one of those races. Races are fairly efficient, especially G1s. They give 10 stats and 45 skill points base if you win them, which is a 35% race bonus. It becomes around 13 stats and 60 skill points for the cost of 15 energy. If we count skill points as half a stat, that's 43 points for 15 energy, 2.86 per energy. For level 3 speed training to be better than that, it would have to give 66 points. So for G1s, and at the 35% reward bonus, it's 13 stat plus 60 skill points per energy, being 2.86 points per energy, and level 3 training equivalent being 66. For G2/G3, it was a 35% bonus. It's 10 stat plus 47 skill points, which gives about 2.23 points per energy, and this requires level 3 training to have 51. And an OP raise gives 6 stats and 47 skill points, which gives about 1.97 points per energy, and the level 3 training would need to give 45 points here. In general, this means that if it's a G1 race day, you don't have a triple rainbow or a strong double rainbow, means you should do the G1. More race bonuses will naturally make races more valuable. Races are more important when raising Team Trial Zuma, as you want the skill points for more skill than more points, and less important when raising a Champions Meeting Uma. Rainbows, when you have multiple rainbows, choosing which one to do can be a bit complicated. This depends a lot on the deck you brought. For example, if you have a 5-speed, 1-power deck, speed rainbows can be very common, while power rainbows will be rare. If it's a single or double speed rainbow and a single power rainbow, you would typically pick the power. With decks like that, you might even ignore single speed rainbows at times. You'll have at least one rainbow like 2/3 of the time with a 5-speed deck, so single rainbow is particularly special. This is especially true if it would reduce your energy to the point where you would have a fail chance. If a good rainbow shows up the next turn with a fail chance, that's sad. Sometimes you even ignore rainbows to train other stats if your stamina is too low. This is pretty much necessary. Summer is a good time to do this, thanks to all the trainings being level 5. As for fail chance, the general rule of thumb is that if your stats you gain are less than double the fail chance, don't do it. For example, if the fail chance is 27% and the stats are plus 35 power, plus 35 speed, plus 16 power, where 27 times 2 is 54, and the stats added together are 51, so don't do the training. Rest instead. But you can be riskier or safer as your preference dictates. This seems to be a really long section, so I'm just going to cut the video here.